What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Coach Javier Mendez has revealed that Islam Makhachev has packed on serious size ahead of UFC 322. In a recent interview with Red Corner MMA, Mendez explained that Islam is currently walking around at a solid 191 pounds, which shows a noticeable bulk up as he prepares for his next title defense. Mendez admitted he hadn't been with Islam until training camp began, but after 3 weeks together, he was impressed with the transformation. When he came in, I looked at him and thought he was going to be quite a bit smaller than JDM, Mendez said. But then when I saw him, I said, wow. His strength and conditioning coach put him on a great workout schedule. I've seen him running with a weight vest, and he's put the weight on really well. Mendez went on to say that Islam is now holding his size comfortably. At 191 pounds, he's confident there won't be any issues moving up in weight. I don't think he's a small welterweight, and I don't think he's a big welterweight either. Right now, he's about an average-sized welterweight, and he looks strong, solid, and ready. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We are constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That is why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on MMA Pulse News. Moving on to another news, Israel Adesanya has given his final prediction for the highly anticipated rematch between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. Despite the fierce history between Adesanya and Pereira, who have shared 4 brutal battles across 2 sports, the rivalry has now turned into mutual respect. Adesanya admitted that while they had one of the most intense competitive runs, he now sees Pereira as a fighter capable of making the adjustments necessary to reclaim the light heavyweight title. Adesanya explained that Pereira will come into this rematch more prepared and more motivated than ever before. He noted that losing his belt at light heavyweight has lit a fire inside Pereira, creating that hunger and drive to get it back at all costs. According to Adesanya, this hunger changes everything for a fighter, as it brings a different level of focus and intensity. For this fight, I'm going with Alex Pereira, he said. When asked about a finish, Adesanya was more cautious. He admitted that he has never seen Ankalaev finished before and doesn't know if Pereira can stop him inside the distance. However, he emphasized that if Pereira is to succeed, he must gain Ankalaev's respect right away. Alex will have to take away that confidence Ankalaev got from the last fight and shut it down immediately, Adesanya explained. He drew from his own experiences, saying that he had done the same thing in past rivalries, including against Pereira himself. Adesanya knows it is easier said than done, but he firmly believes Pereira has the tools to make it happen. He predicted that the fight will not be easy for either man, but in the end, he sees Pereira doing enough to win by unanimous decision and reclaiming his spot at the top of the division. Moving on to another news, Belal Muhammad has issued a strong warning to Ian Garry following the announcement of their highly anticipated clash. The 2 welterweights are set to collide in the co-main event of UFC Qatar on November 22nd, and the heat between them is already building. Garry had previously called for a matchup with Belal, believing this was his moment to step into the contender picture, but Belal has made it very clear that Garry may have asked for more than he can handle. Belal addressed Garry directly, reminding him of the way he pushed for this fight. You talked, you begged, you pleaded, you tweeted, you made stupid videos, and we obliged, Belal said, making sure Garry knows he has no excuses. Now, on November 22nd, Belal promises that all the hype and confidence surrounding the young Irish fighter will be tested in the cage. You're cocky, you're young, and you're proud of one loss just because you weren't finished. But you've never been in there with anyone like me. You've never faced anybody like me, and on November 22nd, you're going to be broken like never before. Belal didn't hold back as he reminded fans that Garry has already shown moments of vulnerability on the ground. He pointed out how Garry had been close to breaking before, but insisted that this time, he would be the one to finish the job. When I'm in there with you, I'm going to beat you up. It's going to be a bad day, a bad night for you, Belal declared with complete conviction. For Belal, this fight is about more than just a win. He admitted that he's been carrying the weight of a loss for years, one that has haunted him, and now he's determined to make sure it never happens again. I just want to get this loss off my back. I need to get back on the right side. I know I'm the best in this division, and November 22nd is when I prove it again. I get to go out there, dominate, and remind everyone that I belong fighting for the title. Belal stressed that the stakes for this matchup couldn't be higher. With the welterweight division in a waiting phase, this bout is, in his eyes, the fight to decide the next top contender. The title's on the line in November. None of these other guys are booked. All these other guys want to wait, sit out, and do nothing. But me and Ian are ready to fight. This is the #1 contender fight. It's the biggest fight in the division outside of the title fight, and it makes the most sense. As he wrapped up his warning, Belal doubled down on his belief that Garry picked the wrong opponent at the wrong time. "I haven't lost in 6 years. I hate being reminded of it, but I'll never have that taste in my mouth again. Ian, you picked the wrong guy. You picked the wrong date. November 22nd. Your future's not bright. See you soon, boy." With both men ready to prove themselves, this co-main event is shaping up to be one of the most heated battles of the year. Moving on to another news, just hours before UFC 320, Aljamain Sterling revealed something wild about his longtime teammate and friend Merab Dvalishvili. According to Sterling, only 2 days before the fight, Merab landed a massive punch during one of their final hard sparring sessions that completely dropped his training partner. Sterling explained that the power Merab showed in that moment is very real, and it proves that he has the ability to knock out Corey Sandhagen if the opening presents itself inside the octagon. Still, Sterling believes the most likely outcome remains the same as what fans have seen throughout Merab's career. He expects him to rely on his relentless pace, suffocating pressure, and his grappling-heavy style that has broken so many elite bantamweights in the past. Sterling pointed out that if Merab can get past Sandhagen, this win could cement his place in the history books as the greatest bantamweight of all time. His resume is already packed with dominant wins over top names, but adding Sandhagen would give him 3 consecutive title defenses. That would tie him with Sterling himself and Dominic Cruz for the most in bantamweight history. Aljo explained that watching Merab's evolution has been nothing short of scary. At 35 years old, he is still getting better, which is something you rarely see at this stage of a fighter's career. Sterling said, "I understand why people are betting on a submission, because Merab's grappling is just next level. But if I'm a betting guy, I'm simply betting on him to win because you just never know. Sandhagen is a dog. He's tough, and I know he's learned from our fight." Sterling acknowledged that Sandhagen may not be the strongest guy physically, but Merab brings something different to the cage. He described Merab as unbelievably strong and shared how everyone in the gym witnessed the raw power when he floored a teammate with a clean punch. "We all just looked at him like, poor guy," Sterling recalled, noting that the knockdown showed just how dangerous Merab can be even on the feet. Even with that punching power, Sterling believes a submission finish is still more likely. He explained that Merab has a way of attacking the neck that is terrifying, describing how he himself has felt Merab latch onto his neck like a pit bull, refusing to let go. With that mix of relentless pressure, growing striking power, and world-class grappling, Sterling believes Merab is on the verge of greatness, and a win over Sandhagen could put him in the GOAT conversation at bantamweight. Moving on to another news, things got heated at the BKFC 82 press conference in Newark, New Jersey, when Conor and Mike Perry clashed in a fiery back and forth. This Saturday, Perry is set to headline against Jeremy Stephens in the main event for the King of Violence title. Conor, who is now a part owner of BKFC, took center stage to face off the headliners, but before that, he had a tense exchange with Perry, the face of the promotion, about his fighting future. Conor didn't mince his words. He told Perry that world title honors are what it's all about, and that Perry has never been a world champion. "You have a chance here, but you're downplaying everything, making a mockery of it," Conor fired off. He reminded Perry that despite his popularity, he hasn't fought for or won a world title in BKFC. "Why don't you come get it? I own this thing. What are you talking about? I'm the owner. I booked the matches. You need to climb for a world title, otherwise you're here today, gone tomorrow. A fart in the wind, that's what you'll be." Conor emphasized that nothing else matters if Perry doesn't pursue a title. "It's more than any fight you're doing. You ain't fighting nobody," he said, calling out Perry's level of opposition. Conor even went as far as comparing him to a fading star, warning that unless he secures real accomplishments, his relevance won't last. Perry, never one to back down, fired back with his own heated words. He threw around the idea of a future fight between himself and Conor, even joking about it happening at the White House, and kept pushing the energy higher with his unpredictable antics. But Conor kept pressing. He told Perry straight up that his next fight, if he gets through Stephens, must be for a world title. "You should be climbing for a world title here in this organization, not trying to piggyback around and do this nonsense. No one cares. World title, that's what matters. No one cares about anything else." He reminded Perry about the fighters he had already knocked out, dismissing them as nobodies, and said that beating them again wouldn't prove anything. "Who made you can break you. Who built you can kill you," Conor warned, stressing that Perry's only true path to legacy in BKFC was chasing a belt. Otherwise, according to Conor, Perry would just end up fighting in small, meaningless bouts that no one really cared about. The intensity of the moment had the press conference buzzing, with both men refusing to back down. But Conor made sure to underline that the world title is the only way forward. His words were sharp. cutting, and full of authority, a reminder that he isn't just a fighter anymore, but also a major power figure within the promotion. Later in the event, Conor also crossed paths with his old friend Dillon Danis. He congratulated him warmly on becoming the Misfits MMA light heavyweight champion. "Champion Dillon Danis, I always rock," Conor said, giving him his respect. The BKFC 82 presser showcased fireworks even before fight night, setting the stage for a wild weekend where Perry and Stevens will go to war, and Conor's presence ensured the spotlight burned even brighter. Moving on to another news, the lightweight division is heating up once again as Ilia sends a direct warning to longtime rival Paddy Pimblett. Following the announcement of Arman vs. Dan Hooker, fans immediately began speculating that Ilia's first lightweight title defense could very well be against Paddy. Realistically, it makes a lot of sense. Arman himself has dropped hints on multiple occasions, suggesting that the UFC is leaning toward booking Ilia vs. Paddy, leaving Justin Gaethje on the sidelines for the time being. Now, Ilia has poured more fuel on the fire, making it clear that this rivalry is far from over. He openly warned Paddy that he intends to take his head off and settle this feud once and for all. For Ilia, this fight is not just business, it's deeply personal. He still holds resentment from the comments Paddy made a few years ago regarding Georgia and Russia. Those remarks have never been forgotten, and Ilia has made it clear that he sees them as a direct insult not just to him, but to his country and his people. In his own words, if he ever runs into Paddy in the streets, it could turn into a violent throwdown at any moment. That raw emotion and bitterness have only added more weight to the potential matchup. The UFC is likely to position this fight as the first big headliner of 2026, giving Ilia the spotlight to defend his title at Paramount's huge opening event of the year. But things could get a little tricky, since Ilia's brother, Alexandre, also has a fight scheduled early in the year. The Topuria brothers have always had a tradition of not competing at the same time, choosing instead to dedicate themselves to supporting each other's camps. That dynamic adds another layer of uncertainty to the timing of this clash, but regardless, the hype around it is undeniable. Ilia didn't hold back when speaking on the rivalry. He made it clear that Paddy's hype is nothing but smoke and mirrors. In his eyes, Paddy had his moment with all the buzz and attention, but the actual quality of the fighter he is doesn't come close to the level Ilia is operating at. He described the comparison as laughable, stating that everyone can now clearly see they are on completely different levels. The disrespect from Paddy still cuts deep for Ilia, especially when it comes to the comments about the war against Russia. According to Ilia, Paddy once joked about bombs being dropped in Georgia, saying he understood why it happened. For Ilia, those words were beyond unacceptable. With a calm but threatening tone, Ilia warned Paddy to be careful about where they cross paths. He made it crystal clear that if they ever run into each other outside the octagon, he would not hesitate to take his head off. To him, this isn't just about building hype or selling a fight, it's about respect. He sees Paddy as someone who tries to get attention by laughing at people's pain and struggles. And for Ilia, that's something he cannot forgive. This fight, if booked, will be about more than titles. It will be about settling a feud that's been burning for years. Moving on to another news, Khalil Rountree is preparing for a massive showdown with Jiri Prochazka at UFC 320, and he's been surprisingly honest about how he feels heading into this fight. Instead of hoping for one of those wild wars that Jiri is famous for, Khalil admitted that he actually doesn't want things to turn into pure chaos. The MMA community has been buzzing with mixed opinions on this matchup. On one hand, you've got Jiri, who almost always drags opponents into unpredictable high-paced brawls. On the other, Khalil has developed a much more composed, measured, and technically disciplined style over the years. In a recent interview, Khalil explained that he isn't looking for a reckless firefight with Jiri, but at the same time, he's fully prepared if the fight takes that turn. He pointed back to his fight with Alex Pereira as proof, reminding everyone that he's willing to bite down on his mouthpiece and trade if that's what it comes down to. Ideally, Khalil wants to stay sharp, use his defensive skills, and rely on his own striking tools rather than get dragged into unnecessary danger. Still, he's realistic about the fact that Jiri forces chaos better than almost anyone else in the sport, and he knows he has to be ready for that storm. At the same time, it's important to remember that Jiri isn't just a reckless brawler. His most recent fight with Jamal Hill showed clear improvements in his defense, particularly his head movement and overall striking technique. That version of Jiri is far more polished than the one fans first saw in the UFC, and Khalil knows he could be dealing with both chaos and calculated precision on fight night. When pressed about what kind of battle he expects, Khalil was clear. He said he isn't praying for a violent, bloody war. That's not what he wants going in. But if it happens, then it happens, and he'll be ready for it. He admitted that everything right now feels lighthearted, But behind that calm demeanor is a fighter who has prepared himself for whatever direction the fight goes. Reflecting on the war he had with Alex Pereira, Khalil said that fight proved to himself just how far he can push, how deep he's willing to go, and how much he's capable of enduring when pushed to the limit. With that experience behind him, he feels more prepared than ever. Still, Khalil was firm in saying that while he knows the fight can turn violent, it's not something he hopes for. He wants to fight smart, stay composed, and avoid unnecessary damage. But if Jiri drags him into the fire, he'll meet him head-on without hesitation. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.